up, y'all? It's Matt and Roy and Sean and James and I know that's it. And the four of us are here, the Team United, ESC United jury, where we talk about all of the songs in the 22 season, then give our scores, and at the very end, provide you the overall team score. And then, of course, you'll see the overall ranking. Who will win it all this year? We still got a few more to go. For now, it's Sweden's turn. Sweden, always a force to be reckoned with in Eurovision, and Melodifestivalen is over, of course, and it was in the end the song by Cornelia, and the name of the song is, I forgot it, Hold Me Closer. I used to like singing it. Hold Me Closer, Cornelia Jakobs, or Jake, because people get always so mad at me because I always pronounce it the American way. We want to talk about the song and see where it takes us. Sean, why don't you go first? How do you feel about this one?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to confirm that Sweden are indeed back. It's been a few years where they've gone down the sort of over-polished, over-manufactured pop route, which wasn't really working for them with the televoters. But this is so authentic and such a departure from previous Swedish entries. And this is the first time in a long time that I've really loved the Swedish entry, probably since 2016 for me. She just has a sort of fragility to her voice, and the emotion is really raw and comes through in this one. And it's really well staged, and there's a lot to like about this and root for Sweden. You know, like I've said, previous years, they've sort of gone down the manufactured sort of over-polished route, which works for some, doesn't really work for me. It clearly wasn't working always for the televoters. So I think this is the first time in a while where they're real competition to win the whole thing. And the feeling and the authenticity of this song just really shine through. And yeah, great job, Sweden. I'm pleased that you're back in the game with this. Let's see if you can go all the way this time again.
All right, let's see if this praise will continue. James.
Normally, I don't agree with Sean, and normally when I listen to his reviews, I might thinking, God, are they putting the water in the Midlands? But I have to agree with Sean this time. Normally, over the past few years, I've found Melodifestivalen to be such a chore to get through. But this year, here comes this mesmeric vampire singing about one last night with the lover she's about to throw away. And she sings it with the intensity, like one of the last scenes of Near Dark, that vampire movie from the 80s, where a pair of lover vampires are staring into the sunrise, holding each other, but they know that they're doomed. She sings it with that intensity that even though she's moving on, the death of this relationship that they're having now in the night will die. Such a charismatic singer, too. Like, she just stares right at you. And she feels like she's reaching into your chest, like Indiana Jones in the Indiana Jones movie, ripping your heart clean out. Very, very charismatic woman. And I love that Sweden didn't send their usual canned crap.
Interesting. So, obviously, there's a reason why this is like number 3 in the betting odds right now. It's immensely popular. And structurally, I will say the song is probably flawless. It has a really pretty orchestration. The verses lead to this beautiful chorus. It's almost haunting. And the song was clearly written with Cornelia's vocals in mind. It's all coming together. And I'm sure that the jurors will acknowledge and reward that effort just for that reason alone. And I do really like the song myself as well. This is where I will disagree maybe with Sean. To me, actually, it felt overproduced because it felt like every note, every movement, everything is so thought out, which is good. But to me, it loses a little bit of authenticity and a little bit of connectivity. I have a hard time getting emotionally into that song involved as some others. And I will say there's some other slower songs in there that may not be as flawless and that could be potentially be downgraded by the juries, but I find that a little bit more endearing and accessible to me rather than just perfect product. So to me, it felt almost more, I wouldn't say plastic, but certainly a little bit less accessible to me for that reason, because I felt like there was that little thing missing for me to make it like a top contender in terms of likability. That being said, I can still acknowledge that this is a good song with a really pretty melody, and it's just very well executed. But when my soul wants some food, this is not where I can go and get the energy from. That's all I'm saying. But again, it's good. Right.
Yeah, I think I'm more siding with you on that. Like, I can definitely see the quality this has, and that it will definitely have a lot of high scores with the juries. Personally, it is not really my thing. Her voice is just a bit too raspy for my liking. And normally I like rasp, but something is just not working for me. And in the chorus, I might have wanted a bit more of an interesting or instrumentation. I think the way they build up towards the chorus is really nice with the orchestra coming in. But then it kind of loses me a little bit. Yeah, this is really one where I try to put my own personal bias a little bit to the side and try to look at it like objectively a bit more. And it is definitely good. It will have a really good result, and I cannot give it a very low score. We'll get to that later, I guess. But it's just not working for me. I would rather have had another song win, but it is what it is, I guess. And
yeah,
it's definitely still quality.
And that quality is there. Are the points there? I know some people think this is a contender. Let's see if we agree or not. Sean, after your fairly kind words, what's your score?
Well, I think people in the past probably thought I was anti-Sweden. I've never been anti-Sweden. I've wanted more from them, and finally this year I get it. You know, finally some authenticity, and I do really think that we're going to Gothenburg next year. It's an 8.5 from me.
8.5 from Sean. James.
All right. So normally I kind of grade on a curve in a way. So for the first time since 3 Mormon lads wore golden shoes, I'm voting for Sweden to be my favorite. So that is why I'm giving Cornelia. I screwed that up in an even different way. I'm going to give Miss Jakobs a 10.
Wow.
A 10. That's
wow.
A perfect score, not easy to achieve. And yes, so this is where Sean and I probably split. Oops, I'm knocking stuff over. Where I thought I'm missing the authenticity here, but that's the interesting part. That some people feel it, some don't. But that being said, I still think it's a really good song. So I'm giving it 7.5. So that's my score. Roy.
Yeah, like I said, I just kind of put my own bias a little bit aside here. There's definitely quality to it. It will do really well in the competition, and there's no need to really give it a low score. So I also gave it a 7.5.
Okay, so Roy and I are on the same page. I see we're a lot on the same page this year, and I'm so still very concerned about that.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later. Let's go for this now. What did Team United think? Did they agree more with? I'm sure it's going to be a good score, right? It's Sweden. Let's take a look. So after combining all of our scores and then with the rest of the team, then remove the highest score and the lowest score to avoid any outliers. The final score for Sweden in the ESC United panel is 8.71.
Wow.
8.71. Wow. Let me repeat that. 8.71.
That's big.
Seriously, and I'm being silly about it. This is ridiculous. How is that even possible? I think Roy and we have been overruled here a little. I mean, our scores were still great, so we did contribute to it. But James, what are your thoughts? You must be happy.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that I knew it was a fan favorite, but I thought there'd be a few of us, a certain Belgium being one of them, who would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go against the hype. I'm gonna give it a 3." I thought a lot of people would not fall into the hype a lot more, but it turns out there must be a hell of a lot of 9s and 10s in that bunch.
And that's why we have the removal from the highest and lowest score to avoid those outliers or minimize that certain impact. And clearly it is working. Sean, as the negative person, because your score is lower than the average, how do you explain this? With your 8.5 when it got 8.7.
Am I?
Yeah, you're bringing down the score here. How dare you? Why don't you like Sweden?
Mr. Over-manufacturing thinks that I'm being the negative one for a change here. So. Yeah, no, I'm pleased with that. It's a big score. this is just pure quality. You can see it from a mile off. There's no doubt in my mind this is going to be at least top 3 in Turin. I would be quite surprised if it's not. I'm sort of torn between Sweden and another country that you could probably guess, but I'm not going to say for certain just in case, for the title this year. So I can really see this going all the way. People love it, and I'm not surprised by that score. And obviously the way we're doing it with the outliers, that probably helps it even more.
Yep. 8.71 for Sweden once again, and I will show you the full scoreboard. Where does Sweden land right now? Check it out at the end of the video. We'll be back soon. Do you agree with the score? Is it too high? Just about right? Let us know in the comment section, as Sean kindly points out. So we'll be back shortly with the next video.